Serendipitously record. Okay. Yeah, we're recording. It says on your end we're recording?
Yes, it did.
Good, good. Because that's just something, especially like if you're talking before something and you're
Yeah.
talking about something a little touchy. It's politics, right? In the day and age around. Okay, sorry, you're ready. Oh, and how do I
Yeah.
pronounce your name properly?
Param Singh. Param
Okay.
Singh.
Yeah, okay, good. It was right. Okay, welcome, Param Singh, Safe Space Cafe, and ask you a couple questions about you running for mayor.
Awesome.
And
Thanks for having me.
yeah, great. So, well, what and where do you work?
I'm currently on leave of absence without pay, but I work for the Ottawa Police. Have been for the last, actually just celebrating 20 years today. Have been working since September 2002. Worked in various positions from the downtown core to traffic services to media. Yeah, been doing that for the last 20 years with pride, and I would not change anything. It was boots on the ground experience, and the one thing I love about policing is you get to meet people of all walks of life from anywhere and everywhere. And even working downtown, met a lot of tourists that love coming to Ottawa, and I just love hearing that about our city. So it's always fun. So yeah.
Yeah, now there's talk about changing Wellington Street, the street right in front of Parliament, into federal property coming up
Yeah.
in Ottawa there. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that? Just as a side subject.
It's actually a good idea. I think, Wellington is a part of Ottawa, but it's also right in front of Parliament Hill. And once you cross the road, once you cross Wellington and you're on the opposite side, on the south side of Wellington, those are still federal buildings, government buildings. They house many of the offices of, the MPPs and whatnot. So it would just make sense that that border would be increased to encompass all those buildings. Now, to close it down to vehicular traffic, I think that's something that needs to be looked into. And if we could do that, and we could still alleviate a lot of the traffic movements going east-west, coming in from the Gatineau side or going back towards the Gatineau side, I think that's something to be looked at. And that's something that we can look at for sure and actually work with the federal partners to make it happen, if possible, of course.
Yeah, you picked my brain pocket on that one. I agree that it's that Freedom Convoy really emphasized that it is a national piece of land, more than it is a city piece of land, and it needs to have proper jurisdiction. And as a tourist, I've been a tourist to Ottawa several times. The Fairmont, love the place. It's that's a very touristy section. If they were to actually be able to, like you said, there's a lot of traffic to work out. But if they were to make that as like a tourist square, like they have in every city in Europe that was created in the medieval ages, it really would be a good draw, international draw, not just the Canadians, us from Saskatchewan or Manitoba to go to the big city. It also would be an international thing, like Victory Square in Taiwan, which I dare say.
There's Spark Street, which is a pedestrian roadway between Queen and Wellington. That goes from east to west, just south of Wellington. So, and we're trying to figure out a new strategy of developing that roadway in itself so we can attract more tourists. And I think this is a discussion where we can incorporate everything if it's within the same area and come up with a long-term solution, a permanent attraction, something that's going to attract more tourism in Ottawa, but something that's going to set us aside on the international stage as well. And I think this is the discussion that we need to have with our private partners, Tourism Ottawa, the Ottawa Board of Trade, and anyone else who has ideas that we can implement. And we need to sit down together and come up with bold ideas, innovative ideas that are going to be for the long run, not a short-term Band-Aid solution. So, this is something that we have to do. These are difficult discussions, and we need to start putting we need to start emphasizing on that and putting our goals in mind, like in play and start doing something now and not wait 5, 10, 20 years down the line and still remain in a status quo kind of position.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's exciting to make these big changes towards the city. I'm excited for Ottawa. That at least is being spoken of. Okay, so why? What made you run for mayor, city of Ottawa?
Um, as I've been in Ottawa for over 22 years. I'm originally from Montreal, and I love my city. Ottawa is the city I want to live in. I want to stay here for the rest of my life with my kids, even when I retire. But I think we can do better. We can be more accountable of our actions, and we need to start putting the residents of Ottawa and even the tourists of Ottawa first when it comes to any decisions that we need to make. We need to start providing a more reliable service. I'll take the example of our transit system, which is not remotely reliable in any way, shape, or form, or affordable. So we need to start making decisions in regards to affordability and reliability when it comes to those kind of things, and stop finding band-aid solutions, and especially in our infrastructure. We need to make sure that the infrastructure we do have is long-lasting and not something that we keep repairing every year. I'll give you the example of the potholes. We need to find new innovative outside-the-box solutions that are permanent solutions. So,
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
have to,
Wow.
yeah, and we have to do that, always keeping in mind that everything we do partake from now on has to have an environmental lens. We can't destroy or keep destroying our green spaces. We have to keep our wetlands protected. We need to plant more trees. So this is something that anything we will touch will have an environmental lens on it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the traffic, I concur with you that there a lot of people in a city aren't aware that for a city downtown core, especially to grow, you need transit. You need mass transit because so many cars can fit on the road. Now, when you get mass transit, and Hamilton is an example of it. I'm astounded that the people of Hamilton, the downtown businesses and everything, they don't want to see it's a light rail system going there. It's a big battle. And what it'll actually do, it'll bring their downtown core from, 6-story, 4-story building, which I know Ottawa has this other pause, and to a proper metropolis of any international city. And I've been to a few in the world, has to have mass transit in place before it can grow to proper, to large, large degree with.
Yeah.
With high rises that are empty right now, it's something to me. Mass transit, it's unbelievable
Well,
that
Our
people
city, our
stop.
city is very unique. Our city is very unique because you can fit
Yeah, yeah,
Montreal, Toronto, Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver, and still have a lot of landmass left over. So when you look at transit, like in Toronto, Montreal, even Hamilton, or anywhere else, their transit system covers a small little area. So, and your population is so dense as well that you might have the budget to actually have a proper transit system, where we have to think outside the box a little and deciding how are we going to connect all these communities together. And I don't want to connect all the communities to the downtown core. I don't want anyone to go from the west end to go downtown just to go to the east end or the south end. We need to be able to be interconnected as a community as well. So if you want to go from the east end to the west end, you don't have to go through the downtown core. Maybe there is a service we can provide that will bring you from point A to point B. So we need to think outside the box. We need to rethink how we deliver this service, and we need to do it now because everyone is paying the price right now. We talk about being environmentally friendly. If we don't have a proper transit system, everyone relies on their vehicles, and now we're increasing our footprints when it comes to carbon emissions, and we want to decrease that. So until such time we have a proper transit system, a mass transit system, a system that's going to be interconnected, and that's going to be reliable and affordable, then and only then are we going to be able to make a huge indent in regards to our carbon footprint as well. So
yeah, I agree here. Okay, so who's on your do you have a team ready? I know it's a little early days, and who's on it if you do?
You know what? If and when I win, I don't have a team ready yet. I do have people that I have in mind that I think would work well and that have the same ideology as me, which is thinking of the residents first. But right now, my team that I do have working on this campaign is my wife, my kids. My 9-year-old daughter has been a tremendous help to me. She's come out door to door, 3, 4 hours at a time every day in just the last month of August, and she never complained. So that was awesome. My wife, who's been helping me out with messaging, my cousins, my friends, and my team also includes the residents of Ottawa. If you think about it, those are the ones telling me what the problems are. If I don't talk to the residents, I don't know what the problems are. And the last thing I want to do is big brother and, tell the people this is what your problem is and this is what we're going to do to fix it. So my team are the residents as well, because they're telling me what the issues are. And the issues are very different from one area to another. We have rural, suburban, urban, and we have a downtown core. And we're very unique in that as well. So the issues that you feel that you see in the downtown core are very different than the ones that you have maybe in the rural areas. So it's how to take those problems and put them together and come up with 1 or 2 solutions that's going to be equitable for everyone. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me of something that Muhammad said, the guy. He said, my community will always find the right way. And his meaning, and then basically, and I agree with that. It's, if allowed, any question brought to everyone with everyone's voice. A lot of times you have someone's voice is always carried over everyone else's. It's a common case.
Yeah.
But his point was, when you allow all voices in, the community as a whole will find the way. And that's I don't know. I believe he's right in that. The problem is getting everyone's voice. That's the hardest part.
Yeah.
Okay, so what strategies, we don't want all your secrets unless you want to give them. What strategies do you have to win? And I heard one there that it's using the people power, but any other, your daughter's another one, and that makes you imagine a lot more approachable, because you're a large individual. I imagine your daughter helps soften the blow.
She does, and I actually use that to my advantage sometimes. But no, you know what? It's keep speaking to the residents. We're doing this for them. I want to do this for them. I have a 9-year-old at home, and I have a 6-year-old at home. And if we keep status quo, if we don't change anything, our future generation is going to be paying the price. We need to start making smart decisions, common sense decisions. We need to start making decisions that are meant for long-term sustainability and something that's going to be affordable as well. We need to incorporate eco-friendly solutions. We need to do energy efficiency. These are all things, they're keywords that everyone keeps spewing, but we need to come up with concrete solutions as well and sit down, and we need to do it as a team. So my winning strategy is, talking to the experts, going out there and meeting everyone that I can, speaking to the people and having the hard conversations with the marginalized community. I'm a police officer, so sometimes that is hard, but I'm always willing to listen and also understand, because I am also brown. I'm Indian. So for me, from India. So for me, I've heard horror stories even from my own community, whether it's services that they receive from the city, policing, paramedics, anything you want. So, it's trying to understand where they're coming from, and it's trying to understand how we can go forward and having these hard conversations and moving from that. And we need to start building bridges within the marginalized community, the 2S LGBTQIA plus community, the men and women out there, our children, our kids, and even the new generation of voters that are coming out. There's a lot of new 18-year-olds out there, and they need to be in the forefront of this, because this is for them as well. And what decisions they make next election has a great impact on them in the next 4, 8, 12 years. So I want to be out there. I want to make sure that everyone understands that any decisions I make will always have transparency, honesty, accountability, reliability, and everything is going to be also affordable. And we need to bring a sense of safety to all the residents and anyone visiting Ottawa. So
yeah, that's a key for that safety and for tourism. And okay, so well, I guess you kind of did lay it out just now, but what also would be your vision for Toronto? I see, I'm trying to pull from you here. I hear tourism, bringing it attractable, making it a livable city again. And what else am I extracting correctly from you? But what would be your vision?
My vision is a safer, more reliable, and affordable place to live in, where our economy can grow and our families can enjoy a safer Ottawa. So.
Yeah, okay, yeah, there we go. That's much clearer than what I have, I think. Okay, so say you had pennies from the sky, like money, it doesn't matter from where, but like what Alberta just had, billions of dollars. What pet project, or lack of a better word, what projects would you put that money on?
You know what? I'll tackle transit right away. Transit has been in the forefront in the news almost on a daily basis, monthly basis since we've had the LRT built and opened up 3 years ago. They still call it a new transit system. It's been here for almost 3 years, and it's still plagued with problems. I'm not for inquiries or investigations and trying to find who to blame. At this point, people don't care who to blame. They know who to blame. We need to start putting money into the infrastructure in itself, finding solutions and fixing it in a more reliable way so we can actually have a world-class transit system and put that money and those solutions into place for phase 2 and phase 3, and maybe look into phase 4 so we can start connecting all the communities together.
Yeah. So transit's it. All right, Mr. Singh, candidate for Ottawa. Thanks for coming on, and maybe later on, I'd hope we could bring you back on for a quick see how's it going on the candidate trail, if that's
I'd
all
love
right.
to come back. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And there we go. Let's cut it up. Okay. Yeah, great. Thanks. Yeah, it was perfect. Clear as
How'd
a
I
bell,
do?
right? Yeah, good. Actually, there was another guy who was similar to what you said.
Okay.
Like he was similar, but he was way too forceful, I thought. And I'm just like judging, and I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not even an Ottawa voter, but judging as a guy who takes care of this. You were way better. You were softer.
I think I know who you're talking about. So
Yeah, it's in Toronto. You know, I don't know Nancy. It was just like, wow. Well, that
we're trying to avoid
especially.
we're trying to avoid the big brother complex. I want to avoid that. It's never worked in the past. It's not going to work in the
Oh.
future. And if you dictate anything you want to the people, you're going to lose that sense of you're going to lose that transparency, accountability. And you want to be transparent, you want to be accountable. This is a job interview where my interview is with the entire city of Ottawa because they're going to be voting for me. So if I come out
Yeah.
forceful, how is that any better than me putting on my police uniform? This is not an emergency situation where I need to be forceful with people. I need to convey a message, and that's what I want to do. So,
Yeah, I agree. And like the conservative way is my biggest problem with the policing and this part of it is always to go to the harsh way, and it scares people. And that's the problem. Like there's the people who rah and pat you on the back on it, and that usually is why I think conservatives use it. But it also scares 30% of the vote. Like the LGBT you mentioned, like certain communities they run. They're like, oh, they're one of those guys.
Nope.
You know what I mean? Because they only have this big of a window to judge who this person is.
And I'm hoping that, being a police officer, and every time they mention me on the news, they mention, Param Singh, a police officer of the city of Ottawa. And I don't know why they're doing that, because it's not like they're doing that for anyone else. So, and they're emphasizing it, and it's disheartening to hear that. I'm proud of who I am, don't get me wrong, but it creates a divide with certain groups that I'm trying to build bridges with, and I want to build bridges with, and I have built bridges with, but there's certain organizations, certain groups out there that have this ideology of police are bad as a whole. Well, just because there's one or two bad apples that sour the patch, you can take those apples out and give us the time of day. We're not all like that, and unfortunately a sour apple is like that in any organizations that you go to. So it's how you deal with it, and how you deal with it and move forward from that. So,
and it's in politics. Remember, it's also how they get their fundraising. There's groups that get their fundraising off of bashing cops. Like that's how they make their money, and it's not against the law. There's nothing you can do, but that's what they do. So of course they hate you. They're like, hey, because this person represents our money, being the antithesis of us. And this is not going on anywhere. But that's one thing I find, and you have to really, if you want to bring in that neighborhood of people. You have to really get out there for I believe,
Yeah.
3/4 of your campaign has to be for those people who is only going to be 15% of the vote. But the other ones, I think most of the time conservatives vote. They say, oh, he's a cop, he's a this, he wants this. Oh, I'm done. They've seen it, they're done. Whereas the other side that makes their money off of against you, and not just you. I mean,
No.
but, you know what I mean? Against conservative left side, and it's just about fundraising, right? It's not necessarily.
I've always been of the mindset that I will treat you the same way I want to be treated, which is respectful. I don't care about your race, gender, ideology, idea, or who you are. I want you to be respectful to me, and I'll be respectful to you. And if we become friends, your richness and your diversity, right, is your richness. So we can actually move on from that, and we can actually use that as a group and flourish as friends or as a community. And I've always cherished that. If you look at where I come from in Montreal, I was in a school that was predominantly marginalized. There was very few white people in there. So I have friends that are across the world, and we've been friends since the age of 8, 9, 10 years old. So for me, we still cherish that. And when we go to each other's houses, we feed. They come to my house to get Indian food. I go to my friend's house, I get Armenian food, Haitian food, or whatever. And we love that. And we still talk to each other's parents too, when they're alive and if they're alive, and we still talk to them. And we've seen our kids grow together. And that's what I want as a community as a whole. And I know that some of my friends are on the other side of the spectrum when it comes to anti-police, defund movement and whatnot. And we do have these conversations together. And I understand where they're coming from, totally do. But I think that there's other ways of getting to that and finding solutions than defunding a service, especially in a growing city like Ottawa. So,
yeah, that's just ludicrous.
Like we need to grow, but doesn't mean you need to take funding away to fund this. You can actually go to the provincial and federal government and get the money elsewhere. So,
yeah, absolutely. All right, Mr. Singh, I really appreciate. I should have it up today, I think. And I'm going to hopefully to do something in September because no one's paying attention yet, mostly, except the candidates. So hopefully, I don't know. I'll ask
send me a message.
I mean, sorry, September. Yeah.
Yeah. Send me a message and, I'll fit you in somewhere, somehow in my house, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. Yeah, great. Thanks. And thanks again, and have a good day.
Perfect. Cheers.